فوز فوزا عظيما. أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بإمامنا علي بن الحسين زين العابدين، وجعلنا الله وإياكم من زواره في الدنيا ومن شفعائه في الآخرة، وجعلنا الله وإياكم من الطالبين بثأره مع وليه الإمام المنصور المؤيد المهدي من آل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد.
For the souls of your marhumin and the marhumin of Shi'at Amir al-Mu'mineen, wherever they may be, let us recite Surah al-Mubarakat al-Fatiha, especially for those that made sure a majlis for Ali ibn al-Hussein Zain al-Abidin takes place in this wonderful gathering. The coordinators of this majlis, those that attended, those that cooked, those that are managing the center, those that are helping constructing the new building, let us recite Surah al-Mubarakat al-Fatiha for their marhumin with a loud salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
قال تعالى: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Nowadays, information is power. Media is power. Controlling the news and mainstream media, that is power. And nowadays, unfortunately, media is not what we want media to be. Media is not honest and does not cover the truth. And media controls the narratives. It controls how people think, how people operate. It controls the narrative and the mindsets of the people. Right now, anything that is mentioned on the media usually is what people is thinking about. Usually is what people are talking about. If you look at Gaza today, a open air prison, thousands, 2 million people are stranded there. Thousands upon thousands of people are being massacred in the pretext of Israel has the right to defend itself. And that is the power of media. That is the power of controlling news outlets. That is the power of controlling the narrative and controlling people's minds. Today, I was reading, not just people are starving in Gaza, animals are starving in Gaza. Allahu Akbar. They go to the border with Israel. Instead of giving them aid, they're asking for aid, for shelter, for water, for food. What do they get instead? They get shot at. They get killed. They get massacred. My dear brothers and sisters, where is this happening? First, before talking about media, where is this happening? It's happening in Muslim countries, in the Middle East. People that say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah and they say the kalima and they say the shahadatain, they are being killed while 2 billion Muslims are watching and witnessing and no one is moving anything. No one is saying. And I wish they would just remain silent. No. Their aid and their support goes to the enemy. The opposite side. What's happened to Islam? What's happened to Muslims? Your brothers, your fellow brothers and sisters, they are being bombed and killed left and right. Gaza is leveled. There's nothing there in Gaza. As if a nuclear bomb was dropped on it. Subhanallah, they are witnessing and no one is saying anything. Allahu Akbar. Instead, they support the oppressor. They support Netanyahu and the enemies. Our president goes to their countries, takes all of their money, loots all of their money, and he comes back and they are proud. They take pride in being friends with the oppressor. My dear brothers and sisters, you find the only one that stands for the people of Gaza and the only one that stands with the oppressed is none other, and I say this with full dignity and honor, none other than the Shia of Ali ibn Abi Talib. None other than the Shia of Amir al-Mu'mineen will always, from the beginning of time of Shia until the end of time, until the day our master will reappear, we will remain standing with Haqq. We will remain standing with the oppressor, whoever it may be. Maybe the people of Gaza don't like us. Yeah, that's not why we're supporting them, because maybe they like us. No, because they are being oppressed, we have to stand with them. This is the teachings of Rasulullah and Amir al-Mu'mineen and Imam al-Hasan and Imam al-Hussein. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, إِيَّاكَ وَظُلْمُ مَنْ لَمْ يَجِدْ عَلَيْكَ نَاصِرًا إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Don't ever oppress someone that has no defender, no one on his back, her back, other than Allah. The people of Gaza have no one. No one right now is defending them. And continuously they are being bombed and massacred. In the pretext of Israel has the right to defend it. Okay, you defend yourself. You defended yourself. How much more damage do you want to cause? How many more kids have to lose their lives? How many women and children? You know, 47% of the people that are being killed in Gaza are under the age of 18. Allahu Akbar. And you're telling me you're trying to defend yourself? My dear brothers and sisters, when we stand with Haqq, and when we stand in the defense of Haqq, this will give us nothing but honor. Yes, we may be oppressed. Yes, you may kill us. Yes, you may take our voices and our lives, but you will never ever be able to strip away from us our honor and our integrity and our dignity. Because we are the students of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein, the one who taught us two words, Hayhat min al-Dhillah. And we will remain on this path. And we ask Allah that we live on this path and we die on this path. The path of Hayhat min al-Dhillah. And we are the people that received the dua of Rasulullah on the day of Ghadir, when he raised the hand of Amir al-Mu'mineen and he said, أَلَا مَنْ كُنْتُ مَوْلَاهُ فَهَذَا عَلِيٌّ مَوْلَاهُ. What does he say after that? I want you to pay close attention and apply it to modern day reality. What does he say? اللهم والي من والاه وعاد من عاداه وانصر من نصره واخذل من خذله. He prays that, Ya Allah, support those that support him. Honor and dignity give to those that stand with Ali ibn Abi Talib, and those that abandon him, abandon them. I don't need to explain anymore. Look at the Muslim, so-called Muslim countries now, and you apply which Muslim country has honor and dignity. None of them, except the followers of Amir al-Mu'mineen. None of them. Because they abandoned Mawla, Allah abandoned them. Because this is the dua of Rasulullah, and I'm not being emotional. You think Allah is not going to honor the request of Rasulullah? He honors it until the end of time. They try to be friends with the enemy. This new Syria, mashallah, new ISIS, they try to be friends with Israel. Israel keeps on striking them. And they say not hayhat min al-dhillah. They say hayhat from fighting, and we would love to be in dhillah. because they did not take the words of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. And now from here and from today and from this honorable place, we call Hayhat min al-Dhillah. Hayhat min al-Dhillah. Hayhat min al-Dhillah. My dear brothers and sisters, news and media is a powerful tool. And those that control it, they control the narrative. They control the propaganda. And they use the news and the media outlets and the channels and social media to make sure their propaganda works. Make sure their twisting of the stories works. Most of the time people get fooled, especially in Muslim countries, quickly believing in fake news. Some message comes on WhatsApp, I have to forward it right away. Sometimes it's within our communities as well. Everything we see and we hear, right away you believe it. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, مَا بَيْنَ الْحَقِّ وَالْبَاطِلِ إِلَّا أَرْبَعَةُ أَصَابِعٍ. Between truth and batil, false, and fake news, there's only 4 fingers in between. And he places 4 of his fingers between his ears and his eyes. الحق أن تقول رأيت والباطل أن تقول سمعت. Batil, false, is when you say I heard, someone said. And reality, haq, truth, is when you say I witnessed and I saw something, I visualized it. My dear brothers and sisters, the narrative is controlled. It is filled with propaganda, fake news, propaganda against a nation, propaganda against a ethnicity, propaganda against a faith, a religion, adherents of a faith. Who remembers 9/11? After 9/11, there was extreme propaganda against Islam and against Muslims. And Islamophobia was created on that day. They started their extra security screenings and checks at the airport, and they started something called TSA. That was started after 9/11. Just because you look religious, you have a beard, you are wearing a ring, sibha, and you look Muslim, you're going to be subjected to extra screening. This is when media is controlled. This is what happens because the narrative gets controlled. And genocides happen. And murders happen. Killings happen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to be aware of such things. Don't easily believe because someone said. Don't easily fall for the trap. And in tonight's lesson we will discuss that several things. How Quran tackles fake news and slandering of people and the fake controlling of the narrative. And number 2, isn't it haram to publicize and pinpoint others? Third, the big sources of fake news after the Prophet. Fourth, the fake news that resulted in the martyrdom of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. And fifth, how Al-Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein tackled this fake news. Let us clear our minds with a salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. You see, my dear brothers and sisters, Allah says in the Holy Quran, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِنْ جَاءَكُمْ فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. O you who believe, when a fasiq, someone that is not so religious, not known as an extreme religious individual, God-fearing, God-mindful individual, when they tell you news, don't right away believe. Make sure you go and you confirm and you verify that news. Because sometimes this news that you are delivered with, this news will cause fitna, will cause conflict, and sometimes bloodshed. What was the story of this verse? Why was it revealed and when was it revealed? It was revealed when the Holy Prophet sent one of the Muslims, random Muslim, he sent him to a tribe. And he tells him, go and collect the zakat from this tribe. Rasulullah, he wouldn't go to every tribe and collect zakat. Zakat was their dues. It was wajib, like khums and zakat. So he sends this messenger, go to this village, go to this tribe, collect the zakat, their dues, their charity, bring it. He goes. They don't really trust this man. They have problems with this man. So they don't really care about him. They don't really listen to him. They tell him, Yallah, we'll go to the Prophet later. We'll pay the Prophet. You go, don't worry about it. He gets upset. He gets upset how they said that to him. They belittled him. So he comes back furious to the Prophet. And he tells him, Ya Rasulullah, this tribe, they did not give me zakat. And they are planning to launch a war and attack on Muslims in Medina. They want to kill us. They're preparing their weaponry, their armory, and their soldiers, and they are going to come and attack us. They want to kill us. They want to kill you, Ya Rasulullah. So the Prophet says, if that is the case, then we should be prepared. We shall be prepared to face them and to tackle them and to defend ourselves. Right away, Jibreel comes down and he says the following verse. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. Quran declares this man as a fasiq because he was known for fisq and fujur, for wrongdoing, and later on, subhanallah, he becomes against haqq. After the Prophet, he fights Mawla Amir al-Mu'mineen. But subhanallah, third Khalifa, Uthman, he appoints him, subhanallah, still being pinpointed by the Quran as fasiq, he chooses him as a wali of Kufa, or one of the cities, either Kufa or Basra. And he was corrupt individual. Takes money, spends it on himself, on his palace. So the people of Kufa, the people of the village of the city, they send letters to the Khalifa in Medina, Uthman. They tell him, Ya Uthman, this man that you appointed as our governor, he's corrupt. We don't want him. Take him back and punish him. So he's left with no option. He calls upon him. He summons him to Medina in the court of Uthman. And Uthman stands and he tells him, listen, I have to punish you. I have to do qasas. I have to punish you. There has to be a sentence. So he calls to the Muslims. He looks left and right. He says, who would take qasas from this man? Who would punish this man? No one stands up other than the one that always stands up. Amir al-Mu'mineen wa Ya'sub al-Din Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. He gets up and he punishes this man. Later on, he becomes an enemy of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And he was known as an alcoholic. This was the fasiq that is mentioned in the Quran. Another report mentioned, my dear brothers and sisters, about fake news, slandering, controlling the narrative, the media. This incident is called Hadithat al-Ifk, the incident of the big lie, the biggest slander. Ifk means biggest lie. What is the story? If you ask mainstream Muslims, mainstream media of Muslims and mainstream books of traditions, they will tell you the following. We Shias, followers of Ahlul Bayt, we have a different story. But first, let me tell you what's the story that majority of Muslims have. And by the way, I mention this with utmost respect to all Muslim parties. This is history. This is what is mentioned in their books, and we will mention what is mentioned in our books. What is mentioned in their books, that one day Rasulullah embarks on a journey along with Muslims, headed to battle or somewhere, and he takes with him his wife Aisha bint Abi Bakr. He takes her with him. And he puts her on a camel, and she is in the journey with Rasulullah along with so many men. It's usually unusual by Rasulullah to take a woman in between men with soldiers, and he's going to face enemies. Usually they don't take women. Suddenly that day he wanted to take Aisha for some reason. So he takes her, and Aisha, she's on her camel, something she's known for. She drops something. She drops something. Something falls from her. In a bracelet. And suddenly, she tries to search for it. She felt like she lost something. She wants to go back and make sure she has that item. She drops an item and she starts searching for it. So she doesn't really tell her husband Rasulullah that I lost something. So she just takes a shortcut. She leaves the caravan. They're all moving. She leaves. They don't see her. And she makes a stop. She finds her item. She picks it up. And most of the people had already passed, except one man. He was going slow. He was late on the caravan. He was late in the qafilah. So he tells her, what are you doing, O Aisha? What are you doing, O wife of the Prophet, O al-Mu'mineen? She tells him, I lost this item. So he tells her, okay then, come, I will take you. We'll go together. So they go together, and suddenly the Muslims see them. They see Aisha missing. But suddenly they see her approaching with a man, and some of the munafiqeen, some of those that have problems in their heart, they have a sick heart, they start accusing Aisha of haram with this man. So this was hadithat al-ifk by Muslim majority opinion. This is in their books. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clears Aisha in a verse, and Allah sends the bara'ah of Aisha and the wives of the Prophet. What is mentioned in our books is completely different. Completely different. Nothing about that journey. We believe that is nonsense. No such thing took place for so many reasons. And I don't have time to talk about this. I will quickly say what is mentioned in our book. When Rasulullah moved to Medina, he established a government. He didn't just embark on a migration journey. He wasn't an immigrant. No, he was a leader. He was the head of the Muslim government. Therefore, he sent messengers to the kings and the emperors of his time. Kisra Malik al-Furs, Al-Muqawqas of Rome, and Al-Muqawqas of Alexandria of Egypt nowadays, and Qaisar al-Rum, and others. So he sends a letter to Kisra. Kisra kills that messenger, and he does not believe, because Rasulullah writes a letter, I am Rasulullah, accept this faith, accept me as a messenger, and let us make relationships and ties. Kisra, the king of Persia, kills the messenger. The one of Rome also kills the messenger. This man, Muqawqas of Egypt, the emperor of Egypt at that time, no, he does not kill the messenger, and he does not become Muslim. like Najashi of Habasha, of Ethiopia. No, he does not become Muslim, but he was kind. He sends gifts to the Prophet and he writes him a letter that accept my gifts, but I don't become Muslim. Sure, better than nothing. So he sends gifts. What are those gifts? He sends to the Prophet a maid, a servant. And at that time there were slaves. And he sends along with the slave, Maria al-Qibtiyya, he sends a doctor. A doctor. That's a good gift. So they come to Medina, Maria al-Qibtiyya, and a doctor, and one of her colleagues by the name of Nisreen or Sirin. Rasulullah receives this gift, this present, and he marries Maria al-Qibtiyya. He accepts the gift and marries Maria al-Qibtiyya. And she becomes one of the greatest wives of the Prophet. al-Mu'mineen Maria al-Qibtiyya. Ridwanullahi alayha. And Nisreen, her colleague, he marries her to his companion Hassan bin Thabit, the poet of Rasulullah, the poet in Islam. And the doctor, he tells him, work in the city, whoever gets sick, you are the doctor of Medina. You are the doctor of Rasulullah. And there's a funny story. One day he comes to Rasulullah, it is reported, and he tells him, Ya Rasulullah, I'm a doctor, but no one's getting sick. No one's getting sick. I want to practice my job. No one's getting sick. Rasulullah tells him, Ya, oh man, nahnu qawmun. His name was Najih. He tells him, Ya Najih, nahnu qawmun idha ji'na akalna. Wa naqum wa nahnu ja'i'un. We eat when we are hungry. And we get up, we leave the food, and we still have space, more room to eat. We still give ourselves some room. That is a rule and a formula by Rasulullah to not get sick. Some people constantly eating, mashallah. So, long story short, this doctor Najih and Sirin and Maria al-Qibtiyya are gifted to the Prophet. After the death of the son of the Prophet that was given by Maria al-Qibtiyya, what was his name? Ibrahim alayhi salam. For those that have been in Medina, the grave of Ibrahim is in Baqi'. When you visit al-Baqi'. Ibrahim passed away in a story which needs so much time, so much detail. He passes away. And Rasulullah, emotion, he's a human being. He cries for his son Ibrahim. He is saddened for Ibrahim. One of his wives, I'm not going to mention her name, she comes to him and she tells him, Ya Rasulullah, why are you upset? Why are you upset? You know that Ibrahim wasn't even your son. So Rasulullah tells her, what do you mean? She says, Maria had a relationship with Najih, the doctor that was sent by the emperor of Egypt. Therefore, Ibrahim is not even your son. She had a relationship with this man, Najih, and he is the son of Najih, Ibrahim. Don't be upset. That's a big, big statement. And this is not a normal person. The person that is saying this, accusing, is from the house of the Prophet. And the one that is being accused is from the house of the Prophet. And the other person that is accused is a Muslim. He became a Muslim, the doctor in the city, Najih. They're all good people. So this is a big slander. Big slander. What does Rasulullah say? Rasulullah doesn't argue. He doesn't say, no, you're lying. No, this is false. No, this is fake news. Quickly, he proves it. He calls upon the one that he would always call upon. He calls upon Mawla Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. And he tells him, Ya Ali, You go to Najih, the doctor, and you try to find out the problem. Maria, my wife, is being accused for having a relationship with Najih. Go and find out. Go and clear it. See what Najih has to say. And Amir al-Mu'mineen tells him, Ya Rasulullah, do you want me to be strict? When you tell me to do something, should I do it right away? Or do you want me to be patient and think? He tells him, no, think before you do something. Amir al-Mu'mineen grabs the sword and he walks towards the house of this man Najib, the place that he was at. And it is reported he was in a farm. He was standing in a farm, and suddenly he sees Ali ibn Abi Talib approaching him, coming fast, carrying a sword. What happens to this man? He says, Khalas, I lost my life. Ali ibn Abi Talib is going to kill me. So he starts running away. And Amir al-Mu'mineen is chasing him. So he starts climbing a tree. This is not from me. This is books of history. He starts climbing a tree. And suddenly he falls. And he was wearing a dishdasha. Everything was exposed. Everything was exposed. So Amir al-Mu'mineen saw that this man has nothing. He was a eunuch. He does not have the physical capacity to engage in a marital relationship. Therefore, Amir al-Mu'mineen tells him, Ya Rasulullah, do you want me to be strict without questioning, kill him right away? Or do you want me to question and to take a break, to think twice? He says, yes, think. He tells him, Ya Rasulullah, this man is not even able to marry. This man is not even able to bring children, to have children. So, this is the issue. Right away, Allah sends Jibreel with a verse in the Holy Quran. He says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ جَاءُوا بِالْإِفْكِ عُصْبَةٌ مِّنْكُمْ لَا تَحْسِبُوهُ شَرًّا لَكُمْ بَلْ هُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. Those that brought this biggest slander, this big lie, this big accusation were from you, Ya Rasulullah, from your house, from one of the rooms in your house. Long story short, after a period of time, this person that made this slander, without mentioning names, she says, this is a big problem. Allah is pinpointing me as an accuser, as the biggest liar. Therefore, I have to change the narrative and make it about me. So, she had people that worked for her, Rawat al-Hadith, Abu Hurairah, and more. They changed the narrative, and it goes on. My dear brothers and sisters, we learn that when we see something wrong, something is happening, we have to face it. Speak up, yes, but don't slander. Respect people's integrity, people's honor, people's reputation. Even in our community, so many times, a divorce takes place, they slander each other's reputation. They go after each other's reputation and integrity and dignity. We have to respect this. Those are not the teachings of Rasulullah. Don't slander right away. Take a break, take a breath, and think twice before you say something. You approach them before libeling them, before slandering them. This is slandering. You try to minimize the casualties. You address the weight of the lie. What kind of lie it is? You know, Al-Walid bin Uqba, the one that Allah reveals a verse about him and calls him a fasiq. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu in ja'akum fasiqun binaba'in. This man, he was not just slandering people, he was going to end up massacring those people, killing those people. So you have to weigh out the casualty. What's going to happen? Is it about faith and Islam? I have to speak up. Is it about killing and murdering people? We have to speak up. We have to stop and minimize the casualties. And you publicize only when it is putting people's lives in danger. And this was the story of Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu in ja'akum fasiqun binaba'in. My dear brothers and sisters, there were the big sources of media, of hadith, of fake news after the time of Rasulullah. Number one is Abdullah ibn Saba. Abdullah ibn Saba has narrations, and so many Muslims accuse us, Shia, that Abdullah ibn Saba, he is the founder of Shi'ism. So many of our scholars say no, he is a fake personality, never existed. They put him in books of tradition, of hadith, and we're labeled the followers of Abdullah ibn Saba. That's why we are called Saba'is. We say no. Either this person never exists, or some of our scholars say he did exist, but he was a corrupt individual. During the time of the Khilafah of Amir al-Mu'mineen, he goes to Kufa and he tells him, Ya Ali, anta ant. You are you. He tells him, what do you mean? Wayhak. Man ana? Who am I? He tells him, Anta Allah. You are God. Amir al-Mu'mineen right away takes him to punish him, to kill him. He tells him, you have declared a great sin. You have declared a great statement that I have to punish you for. They tell him, Ya Ali, no, leave him. Leave him, he has done tawbah. Amir al-Mu'mineen tells him, then don't stay in Kufa. Those that say this are the same people as my enemies. To say Ali ibn Abi Talib is God or greater than Rasulullah, you are the same as the enemy of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Be moderate with your love towards the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So, this was Abdullah ibn Saba. He has so many narrations, and we are accused for believing in him and following him. The other individual, my dear brothers and sisters, is Ka'b al-Ahbar. Ka'b al-Ahbar is called the father of the Israelis, the father of the Israeli narrations, al-Israeliyat. Why? Why do they call him that? Because he used to be a Jewish man. And after the death of the prophets, and after the death of first Khalifa Abu Bakr, he becomes Muslim. And suddenly, he starts working with second Khalifa Umar ibn al-Khattab. And Umar, he had banned anyone from writing and documenting hadith. So, he works with Ka'b al-Ahbar, this previous ex-Jewish man. He tells him, you write hadith, and you speak hadith. This man never lived with the Prophet, was never Muslim during the life of the Prophet, has no right to mention hadith and to narrate hadith. But because second Khalifa liked that and wanted that, he appointed him. Abu Dhar, the Khalifa of Rasulullah, Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, has no right to speak in the masjid and narrate the hadith of Rasulullah, but this ex-Jewish man has the right to deliver and narrate the hadith of Rasulullah. And the third one, and I end with this one. The third source of fake news, and I say this not with emotions, not because I have animosity or bigotry or hatred towards this man, because I believe in the Quran, and I believe in the Ahlul Bayt, and I believe in the books of history. This man is Abu Hurairah. Abu Hurairah has so many narrations. 5,600 narrations on Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. If you take the narrations of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Abu Bakr, Umar ibn al-Khattab, combine them, they're not going to turn out the number of the narrations that are narrated by Abu Hurairah. Abu Hurairah witnessed the Prophet for less than 2 or 3 years. And he narrates more than a man that lived all of his life with Rasulullah Something's shady. Something suspicious about this man. And what type of hadith does he narrate? What type? Let me give you several examples. My dear brothers and sisters, you have to understand the type of narrations narrated by this man and understand why Shi'as do not take any narration mentioned by this man. Understand the bias of this man. What does Abu Hurairah say? Abu Hurairah says, and this is mentioned in Sahih Muslim, hadith number 273. He says, one day Rasulullah came out of his home in front of the masjid. He wants to go into prayer. He wants to do wudu in front of the masjid in the corner, and he starts urinating while he was standing. This is Abu Hurairah in the books of hadith in Sahih Muslim. In another hadith, what does he say? This is about Musa, Kalimullah. He says when Malik al-Maut, the angel of death, came to take the soul of Musa, alayhi salam, Kalimullah, he tells him, Ya Musa, I came to take your life. Musa was not happy. So he punches Israel, Malik al-Maut. Those are the words of Abu Hurairah in Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari. وَالْعُحْدَ عَلَى الرَّاوِي. And many more. Some I wallah feel embarrassed from mentioning on the member of Imam al-Hussein. My dear brothers and sisters, and he has a problem with the uncle of Rasulullah, Abu Talib alayhi salam. He says Abu Talib, Abu Hurairah, was insisting that Abu Talib died as a mushrik, as a kafir, while Abu Talib was the Sayyid of the Muwahhideen, the Sayyid of the monotheists of Mecca, the Sayyid of Quraysh, the one that defended Rasulullah from day one, and he made sure no one touches Rasulullah and harms Rasulullah, and the one that when he dies, Jibreel comes to Rasulullah and he tells him, leave Mecca, فَقَدْ مَاتَ فِيهَا نَاصِرٌ لَكَ. Leave Mecca because your supporter is no longer there in Mecca. Leave Mecca. This man, they accuse him of dying as a mushrik. Dying as a mushrik! This is Abu Talib, the uncle of the Prophet. I'll tell you one thing. Abu Talib was not accused of dying as a mushrik during the time of the Prophet, nor during the time of first or second or third Khalifa. During the time of Muawiyah, this Umayyad propaganda started against Ali ibn Abi Talib. They try to find a problem in the son, they can't. They try to make a problem in the father. They try to make a problem in Ali, they can't. They libel his father, Abu Talib alayhi salam. And I'll tell you one thing. They come one day to Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam. And they tell him, Ya ibn Rasulullah, what is being said about your great-grandfather? What is being said about your great-grandfather Abu Talib? Is that true? He died as a mushrik? He tells them, no, he did not. And they tell him, how? He says, wait, are you asking as a hater? Someone causing fitna, slandering? Or you want to actually know? They tell him, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, no, we want to know. He says, listen, Abu Talib, in the scenario if he was a mushrik, do you know Fatima bint Asad, his wife? You say yes. Was she Muslim or mushrik? All Muslims agreed that Fatima bint Asad was Muslim from day one. She was, in fact, according to them, number 11. According to us, she was Muslim from day one. According to Muslim majority, she was number 11 believer in Rasulullah. Okay, number 11, sure. When she becomes Muslim and her husband is a mushrik, is the marriage between them valid anymore or no? Not valid. If her husband is not a believer and she is a believer, marriage is gone. Khalas. That not valid anymore. That marriage is not respected. They have to remarry. The husband has to become Muslim to marry her. So he tells them, did you forget that fact? Why didn't Rasulullah tell Fatima bint Asad, don't go to my uncle Abu Talib? Why? Isn't it haram to go back to a mushrik? They say yes. So Imam Zayn al-Abidin tells them, you're telling me two scenarios. Either you are saying Rasulullah, wal-iyadu billah, he is a hypocrite, and he never told the wife of his uncle because it is his uncle, and he's having double standard. He is going against what he preaches. Or you are saying Abu Talib was a mu'min. So which one do you take? Rasulullah hypocrite or Abu Talib mu'min? They tell him, no, Ibn Rasulullah, he was a mu'min. And one day they come to Amir al-Mu'mineen. They tell him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, was your father a mushrik? He tells the person that talks to him, he tells him, may Allah shatter the teeth of the one that says my father was a mushrik. How can my father be in Jahannam while his son is Qasim al-Jannati wal-Nar? His son is Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, and his father, the father goes to hell, burning in hell? How can that be? There was an Umayyad propaganda against Abu Talib and against Ali ibn Abi Talib and against Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. There was a man by the name of Shuraih al-Qadi, this judge, this mufti, this grand scholar of the time, during the time of Yazid. Yazid tries to find a suitable cause to kill Imam al-Hussein and to allow the people to fall for this fake news, so that he controls the narrative and people fall for him. So he gives money to the mufti, Shuraih al-Qadi, and he tells him, write a fatwa, declare a statement that it is permissible to fight the grandson of Rasulullah, al-Imam Abi Abdullah Hussein. Write me a fatwa that I can kill him. And he writes a fatwa that Imam al-Hussein is a Khariji. He is going against the throne, the arsh, and the member, and the ruling and the government of his grandfather, Rasulullah. Therefore, we have to fight al-Hussein ibn Ali. They kill Imam al-Hussein. They murder Imam al-Hussein. And they leave the mutilated body of Imam al-Hussein for 3 days. With the hooves of their horses, they trample over the body of the grandson of Rasulullah. Who did it? Muslims. Muslims did it. He was left thirsty, him and his family. Where? Next to a river, my dear brothers and sisters. This is the grandson of Rasulullah, the one that Rasulullah said about him, Husaynun minni wa ana min Husayn. Ahabba Allah man ahabba Husayna. In another hadith, he says, when I did Isra and Mi'raj, I found near the throne of God, it says, إِنَّ الْحُسَيْنَ مِصْبَاحُ الْهُدَى وَسَفِينَةُ النَّجَاةِ. Hussein is the ark of salvation, and he is the nur of guidance. He is the light of guidance. They killed the Hussein of Rasulullah. They murder the Hussein of Rasulullah. And Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein, his son, keeps the legacy of Imam al-Hussein alive. And he corrupts the Umayyad propaganda after the tragedy of Ashura. And I mentioned this last night. He goes into the palace of Ibn Ziyad and he starts accusing him of being a Khariji. And then he says to Zainab, how do you see how Allah treated you and killed your brothers and killed your companions? She says, Ma ra'aytu illa jamila. Imam Zayn al-Abidin at that moment, he stands up and he tells him, don't accuse what you do and blame whatever you do on Allah. And you say that Allah killed us and Allah murdered our men. It is you and your thugs that killed us. He says, who is this man that is speaking? They tell him, this man is Ali ibn al-Hussein. He tells them, Alam yaqtulillah Ali ibn al-Hussein. Didn't Allah kill Ali ibn al-Hussein on the day of Karbala? Referring to Al-Akbar. They tell him, No, that was his younger brother. That was his other brother that was killed on the day of Ashura. And he tries to kill Imam Zayn al-Abidin. But Imam Zayn al-Abidin had a great bodyguard. It was none other than a Sayyida Zaynab bint Amir al-Mu'mineen. Every time they tried to kill this man, she would stand in their face and she would tell them, if you kill Ali ibn al-Hussein, you have to kill the auntie of Ali ibn al-Hussein. You have to take the aunt and the sister of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. They would leave him alone until they entered Damascus and the palace of Yazid. At the gate of the palace, a man comes to Ali ibn al-Hussein and he says, Alhamdulillah alladhi qatalakum wa fadahakum wa adzabakum wa qatala rijalakum. I praise to Allah, I pray to Allah that He killed all of your men, all of your people for going against the government of Rasulullah. Imam Zayn al-Abidin tells him, do you know who I am? He tells him, no. He tells him, have you read the Quran? He says, yes. And how are you close to the Quran? You're a Khariji. How do you know the Quran? He tells him, did you read the verse, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. He says, yes, I have. He said, Wallah, we are the Qurba. We are the Qurba of Rasulullah. We are the relatives of Rasulullah. Then he tells him, have you read the verse? إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. He tells him, yes, I have. He tells him, Wallah, نحن أهل البيت. We are أهل البيت of Rasulullah. We are the progeny of Rasulullah. We were killed and we were taken as captives. This man falls on the feet of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, begging him for forgiveness. Imam Zayn al-Abidin enters the palace of Yazid. And this is the words of Zayn al-Abidin. He says, they enter us the palace of Zayn al-Abidin, and there is a chain on my neck. Every time I move my neck, blood gushes from my neck. To a level where I asked my companion, I tell him, do you have a cloth I can put between my neck, my skin and the chains? He tells him, yes, Ya Ibn Rasulullah. He moves the chain and right away blood gushes from the neck of Imam Zayn al-Abidin. And then he looks at Yazid and he tells him, Ya Yazid, how would you feel if Rasulullah wakes up and he sees us in this state, in this condition, in this circumstance? You think he would be happy? We are being treated as animals. My aunt Zainab is in chains and I am in chains. And Ruqayya and Sukaina are in chains. How would you think Rasulullah would feel? Right away, Yazid felt embarrassed and he tells them, remove the chains from Al Rasulullah. And then he tells him, Ya Yazid, allow me to go on those sticks. On those sticks, he doesn't call it a mimbar, because a mimbar never is violated. A mimbar is always honored and is respected. He tells him, allow me to go and speak. He doesn't allow him. And then his council, his administration, they tell him, Ya Yazid, allow him to speak. You see how sick he is. He can barely walk and talk. Let us see what he has to say. He tells them, oh people, you don't know what kind of family this family is. إِنَّهُ مِنْ أَهْلِ بَيْتٍ زُقُّ الْعِلْمَ زَقًّا. He is from a family that is filled and quenched with knowledge. كَبِيرُهُمْ لَا يُقَاسْ وَصَغِيرُهُمْ جَمْرَةٌ لَا تُدَاسْ. Their adults are not comparable, and their youngs are a flame that can never ever be stepped on. They insist on Yazid. Imam Zayn al-Abidin goes on the mimbar and he starts, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Imagine, Imam Zayn al-Abidin is giving a khutbah in front of the Muslimin, and he sends his salutations upon Rasulullah. Then he says, Ayyuhan nas, man arafani faqad arafani, wa man lam ya'rifni anba'tuhu bihasabi wa nasabi. O you, those that don't know me, those that know me, then you know me. And those that do not know me, I will identify myself. Ayyuhan nas, ana ibn Makkah wa Mina, أنا ابن زمزم والصفا، أنا ابن من حمل الركن بأطراف الردى، أنا ابن خير من طاف وسعى، أنا ابن خير من حج ولبى، أنا ابن من طاف بمسجد الحرام، أنا ابن محمد المصطفى. And he identifies himself as the son of Rasulullah. Then he starts saying, أيها الناس أنا ابن من ضرب بين يدي رسول الله بسيفين وطعن برمحين وهاجر الهجرتين وبايع البيعتين وقاتل ببدر وحنين ولم يشرك بالله طرفة عين. أنا ابن صالح المؤمنين ووارث المرسلين ويحسوب الدين، ذاك جدي أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب. Then he says, أيها الناس أنا ابن نقيات الجيوب، أنا ابن عليمات العيوب. I am the ones with the clean and the chaste, and those that were known for chastity, those that were known the honored wombs. I am the son of Fatima al-Zahra, I am the son of Khadija al-Kubra. Then he says, أيها الناس أنا ابن المذبوح ضمانا وعريانا بكربلاء. Everyone starts crying. The majlis is collapsed. Everyone is in tears. It turns into a majlis in the palace of Yazid. Everyone is shedding tears for Imam al-Hussein. Yazid fears that he fails and he loses the power, and the people will pledge allegiance to Zayn al-Abidin. So he calls the mu'adhin, Ya mu'adhin qum fa'adhin. He goes and he starts reciting Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And it was not even the time of Salah. Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, Kabbarta kabiran la yuqas. You have declared a great statement. Then he says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, Shahida biha lahmi wa dami wa azmi wa mukhi wa jawarihi. Witness all of my existence that there is no God but Allah. Then he says, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Then he looks at Yazid and he tells him, Imam tells him, Ya Yazid, Muhammadun hadha jaddi am jadduk. فإن زعمت أنه جدك فقد زعمت وكفرت وكذبت، وإن زعمت أنه جدي فلم قتلت والدي وذريته. If you say he is your grandfather, then you have lied and made a biggest lie. And if you say that he is my grandfather, then why did you kill the family of Rasulullah? My dear brothers and sisters, Imam Zayn al-Abidin lived in a life allowing people to remember his father Hussein. On a night like this, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir goes to his father Zayn al-Abidin, preparing him for his martyrdom, preparing him for his shahada, asking him for what he wants, telling him what you need, O Father Zayn al-Abidin, O my master. Imam Zayn al-Abidin gives him his will and he tells him, be patient, for oppression is going to befall on you. So many tragedies will happen, but O son Muhammad al-Baqir, there will never be a tragedy like the tragedy of Ashura, when my father Hussein was killed and his body was left for several days, mutilated, a headless body. Imam Zayn al-Abidin passes away and Imam Muhammad al-Baqir is in tears and he carries the janazah of his father Imam Zayn al-Abidin. And Imam Zayn al-Abidin had a camel that he would always ride. That camel goes to the grave of Imam Zayn al-Abidin and it not separates from the grave of Imam Zayn al-Abidin. They bury Imam Zayn al-Abidin. The camel settles on the grave of Imam Zayn al-Abidin. And the camel is in tears, crying and crying and crying until the camel starts hitting its head in the grave of Zayn al-Abidin, until the camel passes out and dies. But ya mu'mineen, Imam Zayn al-Abidin was buried, was respected, was honored. But Imam al-Hussein was violated. Imam al-Hussein was humiliated. Imam al-Hussein was not buried only 3 days after the day that he was killed and beheaded. and the women of Imam al-Hussein were taken captive from city to city. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله. اللهم إنا نقسم عليك بزين العابدين أن تفرج عنا يا الله. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين واخذل الكفر والمنافقين. أيد وسدد حماة الدين. انصر شيعة